My name is Rachel Bennett. I'm 33 years old. I work as a teacher, and I bought my house with money I saved for 10 years. It's a beautiful house in Austin, Texas, with a blue door and flowers in the front yard. Painted every room myself. I picked out every piece of furniture. This house isn't just where I live. It's proof that I can do hard things. It shows all the times I didn't give up. I never thought my own mom and dad would try to take it from me. 3 weeks ago, my parents asked to come over for an important talk. They brought my older sister with them. I thought maybe we would eat dinner together and laugh like families do. But when they sat down at my kitchen table, something felt wrong. The room got quiet and heavy. My dad looked at me and said, "We've decided your sister should have this house instead of you." I felt like someone punched me in the stomach. My sister smiled a mean smile. She didn't look surprised at all. Her twin boys were running around my house, touching everything like it already belonged to them. I had worked so hard to buy this place. Now my parents wanted me to just give it away like my hard work didn't matter. But I knew something they didn't know. I had learned a secret about what my sister was planning. And I wasn't going to let anyone steal my house. Stay with me because what happened next surprised everyone. Have you ever had to stand up for yourself when your family was being unfair? Tell me your story in the comments. When I was a kid growing up in Austin, I lived with my Uncle Robert in a small apartment. My parents worked far away in Houston, so I only saw them on holidays. Uncle Robert was kind. He taught me how to ride a bike and make pancakes. When I was 7, my older sister came to live with us too. Her name is Jessica, and she's 3 years older than me. First, I was so happy. I finally had my sister with me. We would play games and share secrets. I thought we would be best friends forever. But things changed fast. My parents gave her new toys, pretty clothes, and anything she asked for. I got old stuff that didn't fit right. Sometimes I got nothing at all. My parents would say, "Be happy for your sister." But I felt invisible. When I was 10, Uncle Robert got very sick and died. I cried for weeks. I missed him so much. But my parents didn't notice. They were too busy planning a big party for Jessica's birthday. She got a huge cake, balloons, and a brand new bike. On my birthday that same year, I got a card with $5 inside. School became the place where I felt important. I loved learning. I would draw pictures of houses I wanted to live in someday. My sister didn't care about school. She just cared about being popular. When she turned 16, my parents bought her a car. It was red and shiny. I was still walking to my part-time job at a grocery store, saving every penny. I asked my dad why I couldn't have a car too. He said, "Your sister needs it more. You'll be fine." My mom just nodded like that made sense. It hurt, but I didn't cry. I just worked harder. Over the years, the difference between how they treated us got bigger and bigger. Jessica got a laptop for school. I used the library computers. She got to go to summer camp. I stayed home and worked. She got money for clothes. I wore the same 3 outfits over and over. I asked my parents once why everything was so unfair. My mom said, "You're stronger than she is. You don't need as much help." My dad said, "Family means helping each other." But they only seemed to help her, not me. I started to feel like I didn't matter to them. Like I was just there to make Jessica's life easier. At family dinners, they would talk about how smart and pretty Jessica was. They barely asked me about my day. I would smile and pretend everything was okay, but inside I felt alone. My sister and I stopped being close. The fun times we had as kids felt like they happened a million years ago. Now she just acted like she was better than me. She would brag about the things our parents bought her. She knew it hurt me, but she didn't care. By the time I was 18, I decided I was done waiting for my parents to notice me. I got a scholarship to a teaching college in Austin. I worked 3 jobs to pay for my apartment and food. My parents didn't offer to help. They were too busy paying for Jessica's expensive art classes and trips to California. I worked at a coffee shop in the morning, tutored kids in the afternoon, and cleaned offices at night. I was tired all the time, but I didn't quit. I wanted to prove I could make it on my own. When I graduated and got my first teaching job, I called my parents. I thought they would be proud. My dad said, "That's nice, but your sister just got engaged." I hung up the phone and cried. After that, I stopped expecting anything from them. For the next few years, I saved every dollar I could. I wanted to buy my own house. A place that was truly mine. I found a small house in a quiet neighborhood in Austin. It needed work, but I loved it. The yard had space for a garden. The kitchen had big windows. I bought it with my savings 7 years ago. It cost me $250,000, and I paid for every cent myself. I spent months fixing it up. I painted the walls yellow and green. I built shelves and fixed the porch. Every nail I hammered, every wall I painted made me feel proud. This wasn't just a house. It was proof that I didn't need my parents' help. My parents never came to visit. They never asked to see pictures. I told myself it didn't matter, but deep down I wished they cared. My sister, on the other hand, had an easy life. She barely finished college. She spent more time at parties than in class. My parents paid for everything. Her tuition, her apartment, even her spring break trips to Mexico. She met a guy named Derek in college. They got married right after graduation. My parents paid for the whole wedding. It was huge, with flowers everywhere and a live band. I was invited, but I felt like a stranger there. Within 3 years, Jessica had twin boys, Jake and Luke. My parents went crazy buying them stuff. Toys, clothes, a huge college fund before they even started school. I sent birthday cards, but I barely saw them. Jessica and I didn't talk much anymore. Then her life fell apart. She started a business selling handmade jewelry online. But she was bad with money. She spent more than she made. Last year, Derek left her. He said he was tired of her spending and fighting. She was stuck in a rental apartment with 2 kids and $60,000 in debt. My parents called me and asked if I could give her money. I said I could help her find a financial counselor, but they wanted cash. Said no. I wasn't going to fix her mistakes. Jessica started showing up at family gatherings with the twins, acting sad and helpless. Jake and Luke would run around while she talked about how hard her life was. My parents felt sorry for her. They gave her money, bought her groceries, and paid her rent. I would sit there, forcing myself to smile, wondering why they never helped me like that. She would look at me with this sweet, fake smile, and I knew she was playing them. She used her kids to get what she wanted. It made me angry, but I didn't say anything. I thought if I stayed away, her problems wouldn't become mine. But I was wrong. A few weeks ago, my parents called and said they needed to come over for a family meeting. I didn't want them to, but they said it was urgent. I agreed, hoping maybe we could finally talk like a real family. I cleaned my whole house that morning. I wanted them to see how nice it looked. When they arrived with Jessica and the twins, I felt nervous. My mom brought cookies, which was weird because she never did stuff like that. My dad looked serious, like he was about to give bad news. Jessica looked way too happy. We all sat in my living room. Jake and Luke had backpacks full of toys and started pulling them out. I made tea and tried to stay calm, but my heart was beating fast. Then my dad said, "We need to talk about something important. Your sister and her boys need a real home. We think you should give her this house." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was my house. Bought it. Fixed it. How could they ask me to just give it away? My mom said, "The boys need stability. They deserve a nice place to grow up." I stared at them, waiting for someone to say this was a joke. But no one did. Jessica leaned back on my couch, looking around like she was already planning where to put her stuff. "This place is perfect for the boys," she said. "Good schools nearby, big yard for them to play in." I felt my hands shaking. I tried to keep my voice steady. "This is my house," I said. "I worked for years to buy this. Why can't Jessica figure things out like I did?" My dad frowned. "Family means helping each other. She's struggling. You're not." My mom added, "You're doing fine. You can find another place to live." Their words felt like a slap in the face. It was the same thing they always said. Jessica mattered more. I didn't. Then things got worse. Jake and Luke got bored and started jumping on my couch. They grabbed crayons from their backpacks and started drawing on my walls. Big, messy scribbles in blue and red. I stood up, my heart sinking, and looked at Jessica, waiting for her to stop them. But she just shrugged. "They're just kids," she said, not even looking up from her phone. I gently took the crayons away from the boys, but the damage was done. My clean, white walls were covered in marks. I had painted those walls myself, and she let her kids ruin them like it was nothing. I looked at her, waiting for her to say sorry, but she didn't. She smiled like she already owned my house. My parents didn't say anything. They just sat there silent. That silence hurt more than anything. After they left, I stood in my living room, staring at the crayon marks on my walls. I felt empty inside, like someone had taken everything from me. This wasn't just about the house anymore. It was about how little they cared about me. I tried to scrub the marks off, but they wouldn't come off completely. Every mark reminded me that my sister thought my home was hers to take. My parents' words kept playing in my head. "She needs it more." I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell them how unfair they were being. But I knew they wouldn't listen. They never did. That night, I sat on my porch, looking at the stars, wondering how my life had gotten to this point. I had spent years building something they couldn't touch, and now they were demanding I hand it over. But something felt off. Jessica wasn't just desperate. She had that look in her eyes. The same look she had when she convinced our parents to give her my college fund when I was 19. She was planning something. I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just about her needing a place to live. There was more to it. And I wasn't going to let her win. Not this time. Over the next few days, Jessica kept coming to my house without asking. She would knock on the door with Jake and Luke, acting like everything was normal. I would let them in because I didn't want to be mean to the boys, but every visit was chaos. Toys everywhere. Juice spilled on my carpet. One time, Luke knocked over a plant I had grown from a seed, and dirt went all over my floor. I asked Jessica to watch them more carefully, but she just laughed. "Relax," she said. "It's just a little mess." But it wasn't just a little mess. It felt like she was trying to take over my house bit by bit. It got even worse. One day I came home from work and found my kitchen a disaster. Dishes piled up in the sink. Crumbs all over the counter. Someone had eaten my food and left the containers open. Jessica had used a spare key I had given my parents years ago for emergencies. She just walked in like she lived there. I confronted her, trying not to yell. "You can't just come in here whenever you want," I said. She rolled her eyes. "We're family. Isn't this what families do?" Her attitude made me so angry, but I didn't want to scare the boys. The next day I changed the locks. But the damage was already done. My house didn't feel like mine anymore. Then I found something that made my stomach drop. While cleaning up after one of her visits, I saw a business card on my coffee table. It said Brian Torres, real estate agent. It wasn't mine. I didn't know who Brian Torres was. I called the number on the card, pretending I was interested in selling a house. Brian hesitated, then told me that my sister had contacted him to get my house valued. She told him it was for a family decision. My heart started racing. This wasn't about Jessica needing a place to live. She was planning to sell my house, probably to pay off her debts. I hung up the phone, my hands shaking. I couldn't believe she would go that far. I needed to know more, so I reached out to someone I trusted. My Aunt Lisa. She's my mom's younger sister, and she's always been honest with me. I met her at a park near my house and told her everything. The meeting, the crayon marks, the real estate agent. Aunt Lisa's face went pale. "That sounds exactly like something she would do," she said. Then she told me something that broke my heart all over again. Years ago, when I was 19, my grandmother left some money behind when she died. It was about $30,000. My parents were supposed to split it between me and Jessica, but Jessica convinced them that I didn't need it. She told them I was doing fine on my own and that she needed it more. So they gave her the entire amount. She spent it on a fancy car and a trip to Las Vegas. I sat there on the park bench, feeling like I'd been punched in the chest. I never knew about that money. I had struggled so much in college, working 3 jobs, barely sleeping. And the whole time there had been money that was supposed to be mine. I needed proof to protect myself. I called my friend Marcus, who works as a lawyer. I told him everything, the appraisal, the debt, what Aunt Lisa had told me. Marcus agreed to help. He looked into Jessica's finances, and it didn't take long to find out the truth. She was $60,000 in debt from her failed jewelry business and unpaid credit cards. Marcus also found out that she hadn't told our parents about contacting the real estate agent. She was doing this behind everyone's back. She's desperate, Marcus said, showing me the papers. Desperate people do dangerous things. I thanked him, my mind spinning. My sister wasn't just entitled. She was scheming, using our parents' love to manipulate them. I thought about confronting her right then, but I knew she would just lie and make herself look like the victim. She was good at that. My parents would probably believe her, just like they always did. Just like they did with the inheritance. I felt trapped, like the walls were closing in. But I wasn't helpless. I had worked too hard to let her take everything from me. I had to fight back, and I had to be smart about it. That night I made a plan. I wasn't going to let Jessica win. Over the next few days, I worked with Marcus to protect my house. He suggested something called a trust. It's a legal way to make sure no one can take your property without permission. Sounded complicated, but Marcus explained it in a way I could understand. We set up the trust with Marcus and another lawyer named Sarah Kim as trustees. That meant my house was safe. No matter what Jessica tried, she couldn't touch it. With my house protected, I knew it was time to face my family. I invited my parents and Jessica to meet me at a restaurant in downtown Austin. It was a quiet place where we could talk without making a scene. I spent the night before going over what I wanted to say. I was nervous, but I was also ready. I wasn't just fighting for my house anymore. I was fighting for myself. When the day came, I got there early. I brought the papers from Marcus showing Jessica's debt and the trust documents. I sat at the table, my heart pounding, waiting for them to arrive. When they walked in, my parents looked confused. Jessica looked confident, like she thought this was just another chance to get what she wanted. Jake and Luke weren't with her. She had left them with a babysitter. We ordered drinks, but no one really talked. Finally, I took a deep breath and started. I know what you've been doing, I said, looking straight at Jessica. You contacted Brian Torres to get my house appraised. You were planning to sell it without telling anyone. Her face went white. My parents looked at each other, clearly shocked. That's not true, Jessica said quickly. But I didn't let her finish. I slid Marcus's papers across the table. You're $60,000 in debt, I said. You thought you could take my house to fix your problems. My dad picked up the papers, his jaw tight. What is this? He asked. I turned to him, keeping my voice calm. She's been lying to you. Just like she did with Grandma's inheritance. I explained what Aunt Lisa had told me. How Jessica convinced them to give her my share of the $30,000 when I was 19. My mom's eyes got wide, but she didn't say anything. Jessica tried to interrupt, her voice getting louder. You're making this sound worse than it is. I needed help. I didn't back down. You've been using your kids and your sad stories to get whatever you want, I said. But I'm done letting you walk all over me. The restaurant felt smaller. The air felt heavy. My parents looked upset, like they were seeing Jessica clearly for the first time. I pulled out the trust documents and put them on the table. My house is in a trust now, I said. It's protected. You can't touch it, no matter what you do. Jessica's face turned red. Her hands were shaking. You're so selfish, she said loudly. What about my boys? Don't you care about them? I leaned forward, my voice steady. Your boys deserve a mom who doesn't lie and steal from her own family. My dad tried to calm things down. Let's all take a breath, he said. But I shook my head. No. I've spent my whole life taking a breath and staying quiet while you gave her everything. I'm done. I looked at my parents, then at Jessica, and said the words I'd been holding inside for years. "I'm cutting you out of my life. All of you." My mom gasped and reached for my hand, but I pulled it away. "You chose her over me again and again," I said. "I can't keep hoping you'll change." I stood up, leaving the papers on the table, and walked out. The lights of downtown Austin blurred as I stepped outside, my heart pounding. But I felt lighter than I had in years. I had spent my whole life trying to make them love me. But now I realized I didn't need their love. My house, my life was mine. And I would protect it no matter what. Walking away from that restaurant felt like dropping a heavy backpack I'd been carrying for years. I didn't turn around. I didn't answer the texts that started coming from my mom, begging me to come back and talk. I had made my choice, and this time it was for me. The days after were hard. My parents kept trying to reach me. They left voicemails about forgiveness and family. I deleted every single one. Their favoritism, their silence when I needed them most, had built a wall between us that I wasn't ready to tear down. Maybe I never would be. Instead, I focused on my life. My job as a teacher was going really well. I got a chance to lead a summer program for kids who loved art. My days were filled with lesson plans, helping students, and watching them learn new things. It made me happy in a way my family never did. I leaned on my friends. Marcus, who had helped me protect my house, and others who had always been there for me. We would meet for dinner at food trucks, laughing and sharing stories. Their support felt real, not like the fake care my family had shown. My house, still safe in the trust with Marcus and Sarah as trustees, finally felt like home again. I repainted the walls, covering up the crayon marks Jake and Luke had left. I planted new flowers in the garden. Every change I made felt like I was taking back what was mine. Sometimes late at night I would sit on my porch with a cup of tea, looking at the stars and think about everything that had happened. I thought about the little girl who just wanted her parents to notice her. The teenager who worked 3 jobs to pay for college. The woman who saved for 10 years to buy this house. And I realized something important. I had spent so many years trying to earn their love. I thought if I worked hard enough, if I was good enough, they would finally see me. But every time I tried, they took more. My trust, my inheritance, my peace. Cutting them off wasn't easy. Felt like ripping a piece of my heart out. But it was the right thing to do. I had fought too hard for my peace to let their chaos pull me back in. As for Jessica, I heard through Aunt Lisa that things got harder for her. My parents finally saw through her lies and stopped giving her money. She had to get a job at a grocery store to pay her bills. Jake and Luke went to a regular public school. She sent me a letter once, saying sorry and complaining about how hard her life was. I didn't write back. Her words felt empty, like just another way to get me to help her. My parents tried reaching out too, asking me to forgive and forget. But I wasn't ready. Their years of choosing her over me, their silence when I needed them, had left scars that wouldn't heal overnight. Looking back now, I see the lesson clearly. Sometimes protecting yourself means drawing a line that no one can cross, not even family. It's not about being mean or selfish. It's about survival. It's about knowing your worth. My sister's lies and my parents' blindness taught me that love shouldn't cost you everything. Real love doesn't ask you to give up your home, your dreams, or your peace. If I hadn't stood up for myself, if I hadn't put my house in a trust, if I hadn't walked out of that restaurant, I would still be trapped. I would still be bending to their demands, sacrificing my happiness to make them happy. Now I'm free. Not just free to live, but free to be happy. Free to build the life I always wanted without anyone trying to take it from me. My career is better than ever. I got promoted to lead teacher at my school. I'm respected by my coworkers and loved by my students. I have friends who care about me, who see me for who I really am. And I have my house. My beautiful, peaceful house that I fought so hard to keep. To anyone watching this, I want to say this. Protect your heart. Protect your home. Protect your peace. You don't owe anyone your happiness, not even your family. If people in your life are trying to take from you, trying to make you feel small, it's okay to walk away. It's okay to say no. It's okay to choose yourself. Sometimes the hardest choice, walking away, is the only way to keep what's yours. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for standing up for yourself. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be safe. You deserve to live in a place where you feel loved and respected. And if your family can't give you that, it's okay to find it somewhere else. I did, and I've never been happier. Thank you for listening to my story. If this helped you or made you think about your own life, please leave a comment below. And remember, you are strong. You are worthy. And you deserve to protect what's yours.